We're using the word replacement right now, and you alluded to it in your opening, Jules. It does mean we think that Alexander Isak is moving on then, and that deal's going to get done, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's the perception we get here in England. I was told today that the deal is very much on. Liverpool are ready to put another offer. We know that their first offer of £110 million was rejected by Newcastle, who won at least £130 million, which would obviously smash the record of highest transfer fee for a player in the Premier League. They are, I think, waiting for Newcastle to open the door a bit more. Newcastle are also looking for a second striker, whether that's Wissa. They still are quite keen, I think, on Wissa. It won't be Strand Larsen, who's too similar of a profile than Voltemade, as Ali just explained. Similar kind of player, certainly in terms of size. So Wissa potentially, but for Isak, who is ready and waiting to go to Liverpool, I think it makes him closer to Liverpool than certainly it was 2 days ago before Voltemade was signed.
We were starting to think it might not happen, Stevie, and it looks like it could. Alexander Isak to Liverpool.
Yeah, and the key being Voltemade. I mean, that really busts the door open. And it's interesting that Voltemade is kind of going to be in the situation that Isak was in when he came. You know, we didn't know that much about him. He'd played for Sweden. We knew he had potential. And he got a season to bed in at Newcastle without too much pressure on him. And Liverpool are going to buy the finished article. So I hope Newcastle fans give Voltemade a little bit of time, because it's going to take time. And if they do, the guy's got all the potential in the world. He can do pretty much everything. Now he's got to try and do it at the highest level over a period of time.
Let me follow up, because they were talking about it yesterday. If Isak is to come in, what happens with Ekitike?
I have no idea. I have no idea. This is what top-class management is about. Because not only are we talking about a guy in Ekitike who could not have started any better for Liverpool. And if you're Ekitike, you're looking over your shoulder now, which is going to be tough. It's not that's going to be a strange situation when Alexander, if he does, Isak walks in the dressing room and it's pleased to meet you. Ekitiki's going to be shaking his head, and then everybody else, apart from probably Salah, is going to think, well, hold on a minute, is this going to affect me? So this is going to be down to Arne Slot how he handles the players.
It's the old dominoes, by the way, because Isak is going to have to play.
Yep.
And so what happens with Ekitike? What happens with Cody Gakpo? What happens with Florian Wirtz? Because that's a decision that still needs to be figured out. What happens with Florian Wirtz? Do you change formation? Do you change the way that you approach the game? Do you change where players come from? And somebody's going to have to be sacrificed. And where do you start? Well, you're not going to start with Isak because you're making this big investment in the player. Florian Wirtz, I don't think you're going to sacrifice either, because you've already made that big investment. And so then you start looking at the players that actually have won a league title for you, and you're saying to Cody Gakpo, yeah, I don't think so. It's, to Stevie's point, this is managing. It's a great problem to have, mind you. It's a great problem to have. But this is where you, if you're Arne Slot, this is when you need to figure out, how do these pieces all fit together, and how do we manage to win games consistently?
How do you see it, Jules?
Yeah, I think Ekitike can play on the left-hand side. We discussed that before with the guys when Isak was, already talked about and Ekitike had already signed. I wonder if Liverpool could go back, if they would wait a little bit more to sign Ekitike. This seems to be very quick and happened the first time they got in touch with Newcastle for Isak, and Newcastle closed the door. So even before the first offer, and you do wonder if they'd waited a little bit more, maybe they could have made the Isak signing and then maybe later Ekitike or maybe somebody else. But it doesn't matter so much now, because I think Isak will come. There's not much time left in the transfer window, but he will come, and then the pressure will be on Slot to find, the right team and the right pieces of this jigsaw. Remember last summer he arrived, there was no new signings. He just basically had a team that he tweaked a few things. He was amazing in his management and tactically as well, but there was nobody to integrate. This time it's Frimpong and it's Kerkers and it's Wirtz and it's Ekitike and it's Isak. And that's obviously a very different squad and preparation to games than what he had last season, when he had the same squad that Klopp had pretty much, apart from Chiesa. And didn't have too much to do in terms of changing and tweaking and integrating and for players to adapt to him, or him to adapt to the players, sorry. This is very different, but there's pressure, but that's normal, it's Liverpool.
But if he gets it right, I know finding the pieces and how they all fit together, but if they fit together, this is a better team than the one that won the league last year. If the pieces fit together, and that's a big if.
It's an interesting choice of words, that. This is the better team.
Well,
because sometimes it doesn't work that way. You might have better individuals. You could definitely say, signing Havertz, you sign Isak, Ekitike, you've got better individuals. And that is the key that Arne Slot has to try and open the door to make them a better team. Because right now, they're not a better team than the one that won the Premier League last year.
That's why I said if
If
the pieces
and obviously
fit together.
a big point that Stevie has made is that he would have liked to have seen Liverpool strengthen defensively, which moves us on to our next subject of Mark Guéhi, because obviously he's at Crystal Palace. Oliver Glasner's been asked about his future, and he said, from my side, it's now Friday and the window closes on Monday. He has to stay. Getting the right replacement in now, I think, is almost impossible. What's the situation here then, Jules?
It's a good try from Oliver Glasner, and we respect it.
Yeah.
We respect him for it. But one, he doesn't decide. It's not him. We know the situation contractually for Mark Guéhi is that he's out of contract in next summer, in June 2026. He's not going to extend his contract. So for Crystal Palace and Steve Parish, the chairman, and one of the owners has explained it already very well. They can't afford, a club like Palace cannot afford to let Mark Guéhi, a 40/50 million pound player, go on a free. Just for clubs like them, it doesn't work like this. So it's either they let him go now or he extends his deal, which we know he's not going to do. That's why they are looking to let him go. That's why they want Liverpool to make another offer. I'm being told again that the two clubs are still very much in touch, that Crystal Palace has a short list with potential players they can sign to replace Mark Guéhi, like a Diomande, for example, and others that they've been following for a long time. I know there's not much time left between tonight as we do the show and Monday night, just 48 hours, a bit more 3 days, sorry. But still, there's enough time there for Guéhi to go to Liverpool, for Isak to go to Liverpool, and for Newcastle and Crystal Palace to find replacement for them both.
If Crystal Palace don't have somebody targeted, waiting in the wings for them to make a bid on, the sporting director needs to get sacked. 100%. They had to be, Crystal Palace had to be have to put themselves in a position where if at the last breath Guéhi went, then they've got somebody ready. And as I said, if they haven't, somebody needs the bullet.
On the other side of this, though, this is what you've been saying Liverpool really need. 100%. And it could be crucial in terms of their title challenge if they don't have the right defender in place to strengthen that backline this season.
Listen, one of the greatest managers of all time said it, Alex Ferguson. You start from the back and you win by defending. I mean, and right now, Liverpool have been getting away with outscoring the opposition. And you can't win a Premier League title by doing that week in and week out. Eventually, it catches up with you. And Liverpool right now are in a position where they have to strengthen defensively. Because if they don't, then I don't see how anybody could put them down as favourites. Certainly the way they've started defensively.
Just a few more days to go and we will find out. You can keep up to date with all the latest transfer talk over on our website. Transfer talk is there on ESPN.com. ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming. This is a look ahead to Super Sunday's showdown in the Premier League. It is Liverpool taking on Arsenal at Anfield. It's last year's Premier League winners against last year's runners-up. Ahead of it, we got to hear from the coaches, Arne Slot and Mikel Arteta.
A very important one, obviously, and you want to continue and building the momentum that we are in right now, and going to those grounds, those stadiums against this kind of opposition is what we want, and come from those big games winning in a really convincing way. That's the objective.
one thing that stands out in the season till now, and what stands out in a negative way for us, is that we've conceded, if I include the Bilbao game, 4 set pieces. And of course, as we all know, that's one of their strengths, not the strength, but one of their strengths, because they can play in multiple ways. You can see how well they are managed by Miguel, and they're working for 5 years together, because they can play almost every style there is in football, and that tells you how well managed they are.
Frank Leboeuf is joining us now. Jules is still with us, talking about vulnerability from set pieces. I wonder if that's why Stevie Niccol's gone for a draw in this game, 2-2.
Yeah, I'll take a draw right now.
Why is it a draw at Anfield?
Well, because Liverpool can't keep a clean sheet to save their life. And I'll be shocked if all of a sudden somebody waves a magic wand and all the problems are fixed. I'll just be shocked. And this Liverpool side have shown that in the 3 games, including the Charity Shield, when they're not anywhere close to what we think they can be, they scored 9 goals without playing well as a team. So you give Liverpool a sniff and they'll take their opportunities. But I can't see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet. And I know Arsenal haven't, I think Mikel Arteta was playing for the last Arsenal team that won at Anfield. But I'm not feeling confident at all.
You're not, and everybody else has pretty much gone for a draw, bar one person, and that would be Ali Moreno.
Oh, wow.
Ali, you've gone for a Liverpool win. Tell us why.
Well, I must be honest with you. I initially had it as 1-1, but I didn't want to sit on the fence, so I had to pick a winner. And in picking a winner, I felt like Liverpool at home, while they will give up opportunities, they'll do just enough defensively. And, of course, I think offensively they can be explosive. We keep talking about Liverpool not playing all that well, and yet they continue to score goals. And so they will score goals. It's just a question as to what they do in the back. They will give up a goal, but not multiple, and that's why I have Liverpool winning 2-1. Having said all that, I think both teams would take a draw right now. I think both teams, this early in the season, they say, you know what? We have our issues. We have our limitations right now. We'll take a draw, move on with our lives, and figure it out from here on out. Regardless, I still think that Liverpool at home at Anfield will be too much for Arsenal.
How do Arsenal's injuries factor in for you here, Jules?
Yeah, it's a big factor, Kay. You're right. We're not sure yet about Odegaard and Saka. I don't think will play on Sunday. Odegaard, we're not sure. There's another day of training, Mikel Arteta said, tomorrow, obviously, and then we will know a little bit more. That's a shame, because we saw Saka being very good for now also against Leeds with that goal. It's a bit of a shame that on the Liverpool side, Frimpong is out too, and we saw Bradley coming back for the last 30 minutes against Newcastle, and Szoboszlai starting at right back. Who's going to start at right back? Florian Wirtz is still adapting to his new team, hasn't been at his best. Mo Salah hasn't been at his best either for Liverpool. So it's 2 teams, as we've been saying, that are not yet playing at their best, with a superstar at their best either, which makes it even more interesting, really, and even more fascinating when you think that maybe when they play the return fixture at the Emirates later in the season, then yeah, they will be at full strength, full power, playing at their best. But for now, it's not the case, which makes this game quite uncertain. You don't really know, even tactically, how it will go. Set pieces could be obviously a big factor, but I think it should be a very, very interesting one.
So, Frank, wasn't it you who advised Arsenal not to reinforce this summer? It's lucky they did, right?
You know what? I didn't hear your question. I'm very sorry.
Oh, conveniently. It's a huge game so early in the season, Frank. You've got a draw yourself.
Yes, I got a draw because I'm disappointed about the fact that that game is only after 3 days and is not a little bit further down the season, because, as Jules said, they're not in full strength, and so we don't see the 2 favorites of the Premier League being able to give 100% of their possibilities, and it's why I see a draw, because, as Stevie said, Liverpool is conceding too many goals, and Arsenal is, I think, better in the middle of the park. So away from home, I think Arsenal is capable of scoring goals and getting the draw. I don't see why I would see otherwise, because of the result that I've seen before. They are not again at the top. We see weaknesses. We saw players who just signed and still show some question marks, like Fabian Wirtz. We don't know if, according to Stevie, Eze is going to play or not. I think he is going to play. Stevie thinks he shouldn't. But we don't know. We have so many interrogations about that game, about the squad, how Arteta and Slot going to pull down their teams, that for me, the draw is only fair.
We might even see Florian Wirtz.
Yes,
anyway, what I want to know, Jules, is are we likely to see Eze?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think he will start. I think he will start on that left-hand side. I mean, I can understand Stevie's point, of course, and this is a massive game to make your debut away from home, especially when you've only been training really for 1 week, not even 1 week with your new teammates. So it's difficult. But then again, in a game where you would want to control as much as you can the tempo of it, especially because otherwise at Anfield, if you can't cope with the pressure and their pressing and the intensity they will put in the game, then you will struggle. And for that, Eze is good. He can receive the ball under pressure. He can keep the ball under pressure. More than a Martinelli, more than Madueke, who will play on the other side if Saka can't play anyway. So I think there's a place for Eze there. Maybe not for the whole 90 minutes, maybe for an hour. But I just think that when you spend that money, when you have also the players missing for Arsenal, for the guard, and Saka can't play, you will need a player like that in your starting 11.
You got a bet on this, right?
Aye.
Okay.
I think if Eze plays, he plays in the number 10 spot. I think that I don't see him playing in any of the wide areas because of the size of the game, because it's Liverpool at Anfield, because he's only been with them for a week. And I just think Arteta's the type of guy who's going to think, well, he doesn't really know us, doesn't know what we're all about, how we do certain things. But if Odegaard's injured, then if it's a question of Nwaneri or Eze, then I think Eze plays. But if Odegaard's fit, I don't think Eze plays.
What do you think, Ale?
I think this is the reason as to why you get players like Eze. And if you don't have what you consider to be your top line, front line strikers and front line players, in this case with Bukayo Saka, and then of course as a withdrawn player Martin Odegaard, then why do you go get a player like Eze if you're not going to play in moments like this? Now, I recognize that he's only been there for a week, but truth be told, you give him a job to do and you trust the talent that is available to you. Otherwise, I don't see the purpose of going after a player like this if you don't think he's good enough to take on the pressure of being a part of this match.
As a former striker, are you impressed with what you've seen so far from Gyökeres at Arsenal?
Yeah, and like Stevie, I thought the panicky criticism of Gyökeres after the Manchester United game was unwarranted. We began to see a lot of the things that he's going to bring to Arsenal and that we expect him to bring to Arsenal. And Stevie's highlighting the ability of individually creating a goal for himself and scoring the goal as well. I would also say that it was easy to see the work rate. It was easy to see the willingness to do an inside or to make an inside to out run, to get himself into channels, and the strength to hang on to the ball while he was out in the channel by himself and everybody else was catching up. Those are things that Arsenal have not had available to them, and it's part of playing the center forward position and doing it at a high level. It's not just about the goals. People pay attention to that, and they should, because that's what he's there for. But the totality of his game last weekend, I thought, was very good.
Yeah, so that's...